The Central Club.
When you punish people for not doing something that you're telling them what to do from social dynamic perspective and social policies, that's oppression.
Okay, so I just want to let you all know that we've just jumped straight into here. People are watching, they're thinking, okay, what's going on? So, first of all, what's going on, people? Welcome to the Central Club. This episode is brought to you by Re-Inspire Printing, Ape Stride and the City Arms, but this time we're in Kingston again. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the club, and hit the bell button to be notified of future content. We're here today. We've got a special guest, a unique guest, someone I've had talks with for quite some time. We've spoken over social media. You've emailed me, and I think I've seen 2 podcasts. Not in depth, but flicked in, seen the clips. Very, very interesting human being. And if any of you would like to go back and look at that, then please be my guest. It's on Sean Atwood, and I think you done the Blue Tick show as well, didn't you? Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome Aden, who... Do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe? A bit of a backstory first for people to know who you are.
So, sure. I was born in Azerbaijan, that is northwest Iran, and then the word means the land of fire. So I come from the land of fire. And then in 2000, me and my parents migrated to England. And then I started this process of integrating into the British society, which was difficult because being a child and being by myself, I had no brothers, and being the only person from where I'm from and coming in this multicultural, diverse society of Kidbrooke School, it wasn't pleasant. Children just would spit at me, or I had physical confrontations, and my own aggression triggered aggression, and so on and so on. Anyway, that was the initial couple of years, which was awful. And then I moved to a different area, and I met some English boys over there who were just funny. I liked them. They weren't bullies. They would all have racial jokes about me, my social background, and me being from where I'm from, because they didn't know much, and I don't expect them to know much because I was already much more academically advanced at that point than they were, just basically through the education I've received back where I'm from. So the education was very strong. I got blessed like that. So my knowledge of geography and so on was very exquisite, because knowing geography, you know who people live there, you know where they're from, what kind of people they are, and so on. But I didn't know much because I'm still a child. In terms of politics and social dynamics, I wouldn't know much about what's going on. And then obviously my parents didn't anticipate the level of vileness that would exist in this society. So I didn't, and then I got integrated into it, then I moved to a different area. And then somebody sliced my throat, tried to murder me while I was living in this area, and I was participating in somewhat criminal activity with the boys that I was with. It wasn't pressured, it wasn't enforced upon me. We all know each other, we had a neat social circle. We knew each other's stash houses. Like, everyone knew who had where and what, and so why. And we were promoting ourselves to each other, kind of thing. And it wasn't, no one would rob anyone. No one would have a knife. They'll read newspapers 10 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday about the football and so on. And then someone would come over and buy brown or a bag of brown in the park. If I were to do phone, sometimes I'll do phone at the weekends. I go to college on Monday to Friday. And I do weekend 9 till 9, Saturday and Sunday, and owe myself $250 or something, and I'm still like 16, 17, 18 at that time, So in terms of, I was just participated in the economy that was presented to me,
Very interesting you say that. I think we'll dive into a little bit of it, not too much, because like we said, you've been on other podcasts, and I think there's a lot of things going on in the world now that you can add value to, which I would like to hear. But I think it's good that you've come onto the Central Club, because a lot of things we've spoken about, topics, guests, and like documentaries we've covered, has been about migration, refugees, migrants, however people want to put it.
Homo sapiens.
Human
Homo
beings.
habilis.
So I think it'd be good to get a perspective of someone who's come over to the UK and having, the challenges you did. So the first question I'm going to ask you is, what was even though it might have been young, could you tell me maybe what your mother and father's perception was, and what was your perception and your hopes of coming to the UK?
So I didn't have any hopes because how can I say this? Where I'm from, your mum and dad have total authority over me. You go in, mate. Why? Don't ask questions. That's the end of that conversation. Obviously, they will explain things to me, but the certain things, the way they feel that it's not necessary for me to know, they're not going to tell me why they're migrating out of Azerbaijan because of economical policies that have been implemented and have a detrimental impact on people that they decided to take their children out. And they could, because they could. You know, not all of us left. You know, they just could. There's majority of us live at home, so you don't even know anyone from my country. And if you did meet anyone, they wouldn't even have my physical characteristic because I'm racially ambiguous anyway. So it's very difficult to people to pinpoint who I am. But it's all right. It's what life is, and this is the challenges I had to face in this society too.
And how old was you, sorry, when you came here?
I was 13 and 8 months. I was 3 months away from being 14.
So regardless of
and you also need to understand, so I don't want to interrupt, puberty kicks in, you know, you have to have spots on your face and so on. All these things matter because it's a natural cycle of Homo sapiens. It's natural cycle of life. Every child goes through puberty, you know? And this happened at 16, big spots on that. Mate, it was just mental. If you want to evaluate me, like you would not, you wouldn't pinpoint me.
You are very enigmatic, I would say.
That's my natural. So the army gave me a lot of confidence to speak in public, right? Prior to that, my confidence was eroded away through my environment. Academically advanced people were not promoted. There was no need for me to tell them that I know how the circumference of the earth is. They don't give a fuck about that, mate.
Of course.
Right? They don't need to tell them about social dynamics of anything else because I still was going home and reading books anyway. So I'm just blessed because I'm intrigued by in acquiring information. So when I joined the army, that thing that helped me out quite a lot because I knew the politics. I knew the social dynamics. Once I got to know them, my role was quite easy in terms of how to integrate. I knew my place. I know my place.
So you say you never had, hopes. You had no choice of coming over. But what was your expectations?
My expectations. No, whatever was promoted. There was no internet, so whatever promotion was a media promotion. Whatever social promotion around the world, international promotion about the Western societies, and that was coming at the back end of Soviet Union disintegration. That also had economic turmoil on everybody that went independent at the back of that. You know, we didn't go independent, but we went independent from colonialism of the Soviet Union and Russians. We were still independent in 1918. We were established. The flag is from 1918. The actual name of the land came about 1,500 years ago because of Atromites. He was granted that land at the back of him and Alexander the Great conquering Persian Empire. And we came at the back of that. We the Turks from Central Asia. And then the Seljuks and so on. So there's a dynamics to that specific region where people don't understand that. I'm not Russian and I don't hate Russians, but don't fucking acknowledge me as a Russian. You know, it's like, I don't know, calling French English when Anglo-Saxons were French-speaking Vikings.
No, it's like calling an Englishman a Welshman, or a Welshman in English.
Like, no, we're not even Russian. We don't even have dynamics of Russian people. Just because the colonizers didn't erase our language, our culture, that remained intact.
Yeah, it's like culture and tribes are in pockets, and then overhead will be the empire.
Listen, whatever our progression was at that point, it was our progression. Who are you comparing us to? Those that less developed or those that overly developed? You can't. Anyway, my expectation was much. I'm a child. I was more concerned about drawing maps and maths and so on.
So you was very
naive.
No, but
as a child.
Yeah, like the world, I understand. For you to come here, like you just said, then and maybe want to explain to people of, hey, look at the circumference of the earth, and you with a bunch of kids, you're going to be like, I don't care, I just want to fucking play football, or, stuff like that. Is that what you're saying? It's
not even that. It's just my own social existence. Like, I'm not supposed to be who I am. And why are you a foreigner? Where are you from? All these things came in school. This is school, not after school. After school, it was fine. Because most of the people I get on the street, if I were to meet them and the blokes will introduce me, that's Turk. You know, that's it.
Turk.
They called me Turk, that's what Azeris are. We're Turks anyway. We're the Turks from Central Asia. There's 40 million of us living in Iran right now.
In Iran?
In Iran. 18% of Iran's population is Azeris. That's what, because the Russians invaded us in 1882, I believe, they invaded Iran and Ottoman Empire. They carved out northern Azerbaijan. And then when they were told that the Russians were going to give it back to us, the United States of America, I think it was Nixon or Reagan, said, no, you don't do that. Basically, because they had the power play of the globalization. So global power play, they had these people are fucking scumbags, mate. If you want to go back and find out what people actually did to other people, like America invaded Nicaragua over bananas and killed people.
No, I know that.
Like, what the fuck is that? And what's it called? Assange is sitting in prison for exposing illegal war. Can I do that against Iran or Russia? I'll be a fucking hero of the year, mate. Like, I can promote this bloke. You know what I mean? But they take away Roman Abramovich's Chelsea from him. He's a Russian Jew. That's anti-Semitism. I'm being deadly serious. So,
could you tell us about Assange? It's like some people don't really know.
I don't know much about him, but all I just know that he had this organization, this website called WikiLeaks, and it was exposing, he had documents, and it was exposing governments and their illegal activity around the world, how they were manipulating countries in order to generate desired military or economic outcome. It's all about the oil. The Middle East had oil. They have to manipulate it all. Gaddafi was friends. Everyone that the Brits were friends with, they betrayed them anyway. So Gaddafi was a friend. They bombed him to fucking death. You know what I mean? Saddam Hussein was a CIA operative, and next thing you know, they're bombing him to death. Yeah. Jesus fucking Christ.
Well, they use them for as much as they want,
you know
and
what I
then
mean?
they knock them off.
Typical mindset of the Roman Empire. And this is how they fall, because this civilization.
Well, I've heard that kind of concept before. That you know,
They're
say the British Empire
or
the London itself, and you could say the West is the new Roman Empire. It's the Roman Empire still.
No, not necessarily, because the West started in Egypt and Iraq. So if the West started in Egypt and Iraq, why is the West is here and not over there? That's still the original West. They don't want to do that because it's the Arabs, it's the Muslims. Let's pretend they didn't conquer Roman Empire. Let's call it Byzantine Empire. Like, shut up, bruv. I know the score. I know where I'm from. So there's basic examples of differences. Right, when I was growing up and I went to elementary school in my country, they told me how the Arab numerals came to be. And they told me about the man, Al-Khwarizmi. He was born and raised in he's born in Kazakhstan and raised in Kazakhstan, but he's a Persian. Right, and they did that in Arab Empire. And there's a variety of other people on play that people don't know that. They call them Avicina just to change the name, make it sound more Greek-esque or something, or Latina-esque, but his name is not that.
So Constantinople, that's like Greek, isn't it? But it's a Greek name, isn't it? In a Turkish place, is it?
It was Constantine, the Roman Constantine, who changed that when he conquered that. And they changed that became the Eastern Roman Empire capital.
Right.
But the Turks conquered that because they took the last real estate of the Roman Empire, and that was the Constantinople. And when they conquered that, that's when in 1453, 29th May, the Roman Empire dissolved. But no, they reckon it's in 476, but I know it wasn't. What happened then is that Emperor Romulus Augustus abdicated his throne to Emperor Zeno, and a German noble became the king of Italy, but not out of Roman Empire. The kingdom remained in Roman Empire, but because Rome was in Italy and there was Constantinople, there was two capitals. That's why he said we don't need two emperors, can only be one emperor. So Romulus Augustus, who was in the Western Roman capital in Rome, abdicated his throne. And that's the date they reckon that no, it's because the Germans invaded in 400, Ostrogoths invaded Italy, and that's when the Roman Empire fell. Yeah, no, Roman Empire fell 1,000 years later, mate. Yeah? All these changes dynamics, okay? So the 1,000 years of despair in Western Europe came because you lot converted to Christianity and burned all the books. What are you talking about? We had running water where I'm from. Just get on your donkey, go to Baghdad, buy some whatever you need to buy, up-to-date technology, and go home. It's only like 500 miles away from home. That's 2 weeks ride. That's what we did. There were no cars, there were no airplanes. So you need to understand these things. They existed. So if we had advanced technology and science and the Industrial Revolution actually begun around about 9th century in Arab Empire, and it just continued on. Everything's a continuation of someone else's discovery. Like everything. Like maths actually come from India, and Al-Khwarizmi heavily concentrated on the mathematics from India and modified it and evolved it. What's wrong with that?
Nothing. I think that's how life should be.
It gave us algebra. It gave us algebra and algorithm. That algorithm is his doing 1,000 years ago. Don't tell Steve Jobs though, because it's not going to work out well. But this is the facts of life. These people could not have invented this if they were backwards. So now yours was backwards. These people were invaded by Normandy, Nordsmen. But they come from Germany. So at some point, German population hit a threshold. It went up to Scandinavia, and then from there they decided to go left and right. They went left to England and Iceland, conquered that, and then the right they went through Volga River into the Caspian Sea. It went to the Persia, and that was when it was Arabicized and Islamicized Persia, because the Arabs already conquered Persia at that point. So they already that turned up. Vikings turned up with no teeth, dirty. Like they used to, the washing habits were disgusting. They didn't wash their hands, nothing like that. Ibn Sina is the founding father of modern medicine.
Who?
Ibn Sina. His name is Abu Ali al-Hussein Ibn Abdullah Ibn Sina. But in this in the Western Hemisphere, in England, anywhere past fucking Italy, it's like the West, okay, whatever. They call him Avicenna. He's like a philosopher. But he's the founding father of modern medicine. He wrote a book called The Law of Medicine 1,000 years ago. Everywhere in Northern Africa, everywhere from the Arabian Peninsula to Central Asia, and in some places in India still, and in China. His book is mandatory read if you're doing medicine. 1,000 years ago. He discovered the concept of transmission diseases, like fecal matter, fecal diseases, blood diseases, sexual diseases. Wash your hands, they said. Best prevention. Wash your hands.
But what are you trying to get across? That like the West should be taught about these?
Well, we must know, because then the perception changes.
But the thing is, where do you stop?
Where do you stop? No, it's
Yeah. Where's the start? I know what you mean.
the start point is 6,500 years ago when Egypt invented the concept of government. Couple hundred years later, that Sumerians invented the concept of writing because it was enforced. The government needs to know how many grain they have.
So
They start
Egypt
recording
was the
it.
starting point, you would say. Then.
Nile, Euphrates, and
Sumeria.
Tigris. 6,500 years ago. According to academics, that's when Western civilization was born. Everything from the Indus Valley River, the Hindu River, right, and west of that to Britannia, to this island, because obviously before that, not until 14, whenever Columbus sailed there.
17,
Right,
14.
so before that age, right, before they discovered
that was
that
the
area,
edge, yeah, that was the edge
So
of
this
it,
is where Western civilization was born. That's what they're claiming to be. That's what they're saying is. And innovation, because Indian civilization is not the same to us. We're not connected to the Indians like that. We're only connected to them through trade. Indians are not the same as Chinese. Chinese are not the same to Japanese. And there's a Malaysia and Indonesia. And there's people in Fiji. You can't connect these people. They're not culturally connected as that intricately as people that everything from the west of Indus Valley River, which is now in Pakistan. And all this and there's been thousands of years of wars. Everyone, everywhere. And then the Crusaders, when the Pope called the Holy War so just turned up and ate people. That literally hog roasted people and ate them. And then they said it. Yes, we did do that. What a solid people, eh? Why would you do that? It's like the Nazis, mate. They recorded their crimes. This is the solidness of Homo sapiens. We're so irrational and making such irrational decisions. and yet we're so rational to record it. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, but it is.
So what is your outlook on where we are now as a society then?
It's very divisive. It's very fragmented. It's like they're enforcing people to be part of certain club. Like it's enforcement. Like it's an oppression. Like you don't tell me who to be. You can't even tell me that. I've got every card you want to see. Islamic card, Jew card, immigrant card. I'm going to use every card you can use. I could tick every box of diversity. You are discriminating against me because I'm an immigrant. If you want to come my way that way, it's just sad. It's just sad. I know it's not going to be the case, but, I might have to use one or two cards. You never know. They might try to throw something on. People impede on human progress around here. Do you know what I mean? The school education is just, it's a fallacy. What is going on there? Why are you teaching children about sex? Who the fuck needs to know? Like, they don't need to know about sex. They don't even know where Fiji is on the map. But they know about dick. Really, like my child ain't.
Are you saying we need to look at other countries, other cultures to improve our own?
Well, the only way Homo sapiens progressed and human civilizations evolved, there's no other way is by exchanging trade, ideas, and knowledge. Whenever we enforced ourselves upon ourselves, there's always been uprisings. Yeah. That if it was like for example, when Romans conquered Egypt in 31 BC at the Battle of Tate, right? Romans are rough. They didn't like Egyptians. They made them wear blue. They discriminated against them. They made them forbid them to own property in their own land. And sounds very fucking familiar English. But listen, and they prevented them from riding horses, things like that, just to second-class citizen. You know what I mean? Right? But when the Arabs did that, or the Persians, when the Persians conquered you, they said, nah, you carry on doing what you want. You're our citizen now. You're part of a team. In fact, right, Kurush the Great, the founder of Persian Empire, when he conquered the land, he wrote the first human Bill of Rights, right? The bill, it banned slavery 2,500 years ago, 200 miles away from where I was born. Yeah, and human sacrifice. Okay, we didn't kind of lived up to the slavery element, but we stopped sacrificing people 2,500 years ago. He did that. And he translated that in every language of all his subjects. It was a diverse and multicultural environment. He encouraged freedom of religion and freedom of thought, and that it would repair your temples if you wanna worship it. If they're coming down, the state will fix it. Don't worry, we'll take the bill. And the Jews turn out saying, "Can you build that second temple?" Solomon's like, "Yeah, no problem." Persian gold, Egyptian engineers.
So is that your outlook? Is it kind of just religious freedom and just
tolerance? No, it's not even tolerance. Just let people do what they want to do. Like, if someone doesn't impede on human progress, why would you impede on them? Tell me.
But to an extent, of course, because we're in a situation in this life now where there's too much acceptance, there's too much tolerance.
No, it's acceptance and tolerance to which bandwagon you're on, which narrative you want to play the game on. Listen, I'm literally a foreigner from a foreign land, surrounded by foreigners in a foreign land. Like, you might say that I've got British citizenship. That's not a fundamental achievement of my life. You know what I mean? That's not something that I like, whoa, wow, I'm so grateful. I just use the passport to travel around the world. Thank you very much.
And you don't class yourself as a British citizen?
Well, not really. I've got British, the dialect maybe. But what am I? I'm a 37-year-old man who's not got no trail of damaged women behind him, no children. Yeah, done 10 years in it, just 9.8 months in the British infantry, And I got stabbed before I joined the army. I got spat at before, in this country, not in my country. So, and I still haven't.
But that wasn't like you. It wasn't just the British doing that to you, though, was it?
I'm not. This is not about the Brits at all. It's just children. This is what children, like all children born uncivilized. Somebody needs to civilize them. So the girl that spat in my face, fuck me. What kind of mum and dad do you have? Like, if my daughter spits at someone's face, she's getting slapped. Fundamentally, slap. Get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? There's no, you can't let your children get away with this shit.
I totally agree with you.
Because they're going to grow up.
I totally agree
And
where
they're
you're
going to
coming
be,
from in the sense of
impact.
discipline. Are these things that were instilled in your life?
Yeah. Well, they beat me. My mum and dad. Sometimes it's just mum.
Yeah.
If dad just had mercy, because mum did enough. But if it was necessary, I would never get rewarded for being naughty. Never. I'd go home from school in a ripped shirt and I'll conceptualize different methods that she's going to use to beat the shit out of me.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
So I had authority at home.
And I think that's what the problem is, and you've hit the nail on the head there. I've never been rewarded for being naughty, and that is what it's like now in this society. People are, go upstairs to your bedroom on your PS5.
No, not at
with
all,
whatever
mate.
you want to do, chat to your mates. It's backwards, mate.
I think I have my own perception, and people say you can't be around your children like that or not. But I'm a little bit disciplinarian. I have discipline before I joined the army. Clearly, I wouldn't have lost it if I didn't have certain elements of discipline instilled into me from the early ages. So I want my son to do 20 press-ups if he's gobbing off to his mother.
Yeah.
21? No, 21 again. I will terrorize him. I don't
know about terrorize.
But when I say terrorize him, it feel like a mission. It's only been 2 minutes. It feel like a lifetime. I'm never gonna go off to mum again. My hands are shaking now. He's doing press ups. It's gonna be good for him. He will be active because I'm gonna be active around him.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that the punishment is something that's gonna better him.
Yeah, I'm not encouraging child brutality here. That's not what I'm trying to say. But in my country, no one says a word if you see a mum just slapping her son or because they're being naughty because they roll around in the mud.
Okay, can you give me a little description maybe of what Azerbaijan is like now, the culture, the people, now?
No, so I just got back. I've just been back about 2 months ago. So it's been the first time in a while when I come back, and I found it like I ask questions. Listen, I'll speak to the people that are related to me, and then I go out into the town. It's like my own country, mate. Listen, I literally would go and speak to a shopkeeper. I'll go and speak to food vendor and I ask him questions, social questions. Yeah, my own. I don't need to record this shit. You know, it's for my own doing.
Research, yeah.
So we have no teenage pregnancies. Yeah, like we encourage marriages, right? So majority of our people are married. We have no orphan homes. We have hardly got a foster care system because there's no children in foster care. So do you know what I mean? All these little things. You know, people living.
Drug problem?
Well, of course you've got a drug problem because we close borders now. We close borders from Iran because the amphetamine that's being produced in Syria because of the civil war and unrest, they can't keep their tracks on it. It gets fed into the Iran and goes into us. Iran has a drug problem. Afghanistan has a drug problem. Pakistan has a drug problem. Yeah? Right? You know, these people still have drug problems. They have problems. You know?
Do you have crime rates? Big crime rates?
Well, our crime rates differ from here. That it'd be abnormal to see some random old pensioner gets killed by some random intruder. Like, that's sickening. Things like that. It's not. It's most of the time wife kills husband, or husband kills wife. If most murders like contributes to domestic violence kind of thing, that.
Do you have migrants, like refugees into your country?
No, it's visa entry only.
And majority, religious-wise?
Well, Islam is a dominant religion in my country, but it's always been. My grandfather was born in Ottoman Empire.
Has Azerbaijan got the Islamic?
So it's not an Islamic crest,
crest?
actually. It's not.
No.
The crescent moon and the star, it's not an Islamic crest. People associated with Islam, I don't know why, but it's not a symbol of Islam.
Okay.
So that's a symbol of Byzantine and Constantinople.
Yeah.
So when the Ottoman Turks conquered it, they'd taken that symbol as captured the flag, and they held it on because the Turks, they didn't hate the Roman Empire. They were admired by it, just a sheer force of its war power. That's pretty much what they were admired by, and they wanted to be like them because there was a Seljuk Sultanate of Rome So before the Ottomans, there were the Seljuk Empire that conquered the Arabs, and they called themselves Seljuk Sultan Emperor of Rome. And their emblem, their flag was two-headed eagle, just like Rome.
Yeah.
So he was their Islamic
Like the
version of
Rothschild,
the.
is it?
No. It was just it was
Black
an
Eagle.
Islamic version of Roman Empire.
Okay.
Yeah. So what the Ottomans wanted to do, they wanted to Islamicize it, right? They didn't want to destroy it. Okay. But obviously the changes came into play. But nevertheless, crescent moon and the star is an emblem from Byzantine and Roman Empire, which the Turks absorbed. Because only a few countries got that emblem, like us.
A lot of
Turks.
Islamic countries.
Yeah. Because it's the representation to the Roman Empire that would destroyed you. Just quick wave your flag. Hey, oi. Pretty much that's what it was.
Yeah.
That's how it was, And you need to understand how it was done. In 18th century, the Ottomans were the best soldiers on the planet. Like the Germans will send their officers to the Ottoman Empire to train the officers up how to operate the battlefield. Yeah, they were the best military force on the planet. Obviously, they got dissolved and dismantled and they lost a couple of wars or whatnot. But that's the same applies to a lot of people before.
All superpowers, I would say.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Yeah, but they were the last swordmen. They're the last people with a sword, really.
Were they?
Well, the last best ones with the sword. They were still using the sword. Like, you know what I mean? But nevertheless, like, you know what I mean? It's just what it is. The society just... So the Ottomans, right?
The Ottomans never come... how far west did they go?
Oh, they had diplomatic stations, actually. The Ottoman Empire was the first Islamic empire to establish international
Spain. They did have Spain, I'm sure.
Yeah, but that were Arabs ruled Spain. And the Arabs lost Spain to Vandals who conquered Spain. Oh, no. The Vandals was before that.
Who were Vandals?
It was Charlemagne who conquered Spain.
Okay.
And kicked out the Arabs in the 8th century.
For those people who probably would be confused listening to this, difference between Arabs and Ottomans, because people would say, well, they're Muslims. It's culture different, I know.
Well, right, yeah. This is what I mean. When people in this country say Muslim, and they say we Muslim, like Sadiq Khan, right, goes on the telly, goes, we Muslims are afraid. I'm like, I'm not afraid, mate. Yeah, you are. Like, I'm not you. You don't speak for me and my people. Turks are not afraid in this country. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
There's not like we come on the back of empirical powers. We've got now the biggest military in the Middle East.
Yeah.
You seriously fucking think we are scared in England? Are you mad? Talk about yourself. You don't talk for us. When I'm being serious. Why do you think the Turks don't speak Arabic? And why do you think the Persians don't speak Arabic? So the Arabs conquered the Persian and Roman Empire simultaneously in 633. Okay?
Okay.
And by 711, they've owned everything from Spain to Central Asia. Okay? They've expanded quite fast. Then they had civil war, civil unrest. The Arabs are the children of Abraham. So the Arabs and the Jews are they're brother and sister. Their language is even the same, but minus few different, like there's a dialect differences, yeah, and it is a different language, but it's a brother and sister language. I'll tell you why it's a brother and sister language. There's this guy called Maimonide, right? Is an Arab Jew converted to Islam in about 9th century Spain, what was Arab-ruled Spain, and he realized that Hebrew language was dying away. There was no significant written text in Hebrew language. So he knew that Arabic is the next best thing to Hebrew on this planet. So he reinvented Hebrew from the dead by plugging Arab words into the missing sentences. And
which
then
would have been easy to do.
But then it would generate
easier.
But that's one of the stories, okay? And Arabs are not Persians. The Persians ruled over the Arabs, not all of it. The Arab itself, they were never unified until 633, when Abu Bakr, the first Caliph, unified the Arabian Peninsula. And after that, he sent his army to conquer Roman Empire and the Persians.
So Arabs, Persians, Turks, Ottomans,
the Turks are from Central Asia. They come from Turkmenistan and so on.
Yeah.
We migrated through the Persia and what was then an Arab empire then. We've conquered that and then become the Seljuks eventually. right?
So what I'm trying to say is, all you different.
We're linguistically different.
Yes, but
Whereas-
was you always Muslim?
Yeah, but just because we're all Muslim, like this is what I'm trying to understand. What people trying to highlight here. Iran is also Muslim. Okay, the Shia controlled Muslim government.
Yeah, but
okay?
so is England's Christianity with its
Right,
part of
I
China that's
understand
got
that,
Christians.
but the Turkish
they're very
women,
different.
Yeah, but
I understand the difference.
The Turkish women, they don't. It's not compulsory for them to wear headgear.
No,
Right?
and I agree. But
Okay,
like,
same
that's
as in Azerbaijan.
what you're trying to say there is the difference with let's say Japanese Christians and British Christians.
No, the difference is the
and
same as
American Mormons.
Yeah, but
They're
the
totally different. They make them do so. Is that what you're trying to say? There's like a total.
Well, there's different cultural dynamics to it,
Yeah,
obviously.
cultural dynamic.
But you need to understand that till about 1453, Turks, Persians, and Arabs intermingled one another. They intertwined with one another. So when the complication of it needs to, right, let me go back, right? So when Abu Bakr and Khalid ibn Walid, immortal son of a newborn, that's his name, is one of the greatest generals to ever live, conquered Persian and Roman Empire. At that time, Persian Empire was 1100 years superpower. Yeah, in that region, commanded the seas, the trade, the Silk Route, the Indian trade, the Chinese trade. They've got it all. It's all in their coffers. Yeah, and the Roman Empire, who was at that time fighting the Persians for 26 years. Okay, they were like a 700 year superpower. And then these Arabs, who never been united, could never govern themselves until 633. Yeah, just conquered both of them, eliminated them with 15,000 men.
Wow.
Listen, what he did is unbearable. It's like, when I say this, unbearable. I would have never done it. No one could have anticipated what he did. They were inferior technologically and military and tactically military to the Arabs and Persians, but they smashed them. Okay? But Persians don't forget that. Okay, so when the Arabs turned up, they said, look, we never run an empire. Can you help us how to run one? Because you've been doing this for 1100 years. Persians, you know? They didn't ask the Roman any help. They fucked them. We want to destroy them. They despised women. They were rapists on a lot of scenes. It was deep when I say this, right? It was deep. Okay? So the Persians helped the Arabs, but the Arabs ruled bureaucratically, but they never converted the language. They said, okay, we're going to convert to Islam, but not to the Arab language. That's why Egypt is culturally and linguistically Arab. Okay, maybe not genetically, right? Okay, but culturally and linguistically there will be. There's some people speak Coptic in Egypt, but that's the ancient Egyptian language, but Arab is the language. Culture is but in Persia is not, in Iran is not. They speak Persian. You know, they still got Persian culture. And the same with the Ottomans, right? Ataturk did something in the early 1920s, right? What he did, he tried to modernize what is now the Turkish state, and he changed the language. And some of the language that used before, but the Turks was a bit Arab, bit Persian, the few words here and there, and all the literature was in the old Turkish language. So he changed that in 1918, 1920, which now also separated the dynamics because they didn't want the Arab words in their language. They didn't like the Arabs. The Turks didn't like the Arabs. The Seljuks the Seljuks that conquered the Arabs, which were also the Turks from Central Asia, you know, and then Persians and the Turks always had this friction with one another. And there's us right there. Ethnic Azeris, we're also Turks. 40, 50 million of us living in northwest Iran right now, in Tabriz. That's where my great-grandfather's from. Tabriz. That's a city in northwest Iran. Like closer to north. So there's North Azerbaijan and South Azerbaijan, but it's not known to you because it's not internationally acknowledged because one of it's Persian, one of them used to be Russian state. This podcast, The Pearls, said something of that. I picked this girl up about her, something about masculinity and that.
Okay.
And then when she posted that online, she called me Russian when I blatantly told him where I'm from.
It's not nice, is it?
No, but it's just because she's from America. She's ignorant. They're stupid over there. What do you expect?
I'm just looking on the map a minute, just at Azerbaijan. Because like when Russia was with the Cold War.
In 91, that's when it's over, right? It's finished, the Cold War.
So is Armenia, you're near Armenia though, aren't you?
No, we're not Armenian.
No, you're near Armenia.
They're our, the thing with terrorists, mate.
Yeah.
There's a guy called Jake Hanrahan, yeah? He's some journalist from Birmingham. I saw him on Johnny English, right? I could not believe it, what he said. He said,
on where?
On Johnny English.
Johnny English?
Not
James English?
James English, right?
Johnny English.
So anyway, he's not gonna get me on. He's not having me on his show now. He's like, I liked you till then, you little girl.
No, go on.
But anyway, so he blatantly said, like, yeah, people from Azerbaijan, they military cut off heads of the civilians and played football with it. I'm like, mate, seriously, say something more realistic.
You think he's lying?
We don't know, mate. They don't even do that in Afghan. Yeah? The Chechens did it to the Russian soldiers. And I saw that on the telly when I was a child.
Yeah.
Chechnya is 100 and some miles north of us.
Yes.
Yeah? Russia bombed them to death. They bombed Grozny to death. Do you understand me? They didn't bomb us. They didn't bomb the capital that I was born in. There's a reason for that. Okay?
Yeah.
There's a reason for that. It's not a coincidence.
Yeah, you are in the middle of Iran and Russia, aren't you?
Yeah, and then we've got the Uzbeks and Kazakhs across the sea. They're our friends, kind of thing.
The what? The what?
They're friends. The Central Asians that we're linguistically connected already and culturally. Because at some point or the other, where it was the Ottomans or the Persians that ruled, the culture evolved from that, wouldn't it?
So yeah, you're just like So you're saying you was part of Turkmenistan. So you went around the Caspian Sea.
No, not part of Turkmenistan.
Turkmenistan's on the other side of the Caspian Sea, where the Turks originated from. So they've come around. So the Azerbaijanis have come through there, and they've stopped off there.
Yeah.
When the Turks have carried on going into mainland Europe, East Asia. Well, the plates, the pathway.
It took a while. It took about 1,000 years.
So is Baku the capital?
Yeah, that's where I was born in. Yeah.
Really? So you was on the sea.
Yeah, no, it's lovely. That's why I can handle sun.
Is it
sun
lovely
is good.
there?
Yeah, sun is good for me.
Yeah, no.
I mean, what I'm saying is I don't need like factor 50 in that 50 degrees.
Yeah,
I can handle a bit of heat, and I'm blessed like that in the winter. And that also climate wise helped me out in the army, didn't it?
You know, like you talking about the racially ambiguous and stuff. I think there's a lot of that crossover because of the vastness of Europe, Russia, Central Asia. Like even when you look at like with Russia and Mongolia and China, do you see that crossover as well?
Yeah,
very
but
ambiguous.
The Russian people on the border with China speak reasonably good Mandarin because of trade, because they have to trade with the Chinese. Chinese still trade, whether you like it or not. They're going to trade with everyone. They've gave us a lot of things. Them and the Indians gave us a lot of things. I'm going to give you a little statistic here, right? When the Brits got to India, India was 23% of the world GDP, which means every dollar out of every $4 that was made in the world was made in India, 23%. And when the Brits left, they were mere 4%. They transferred Indian wealth into Britain.
Of course they did.
Yeah. They prevented Indian people making their own clothes. So they make them in here and sell it back to India. I'm like, what the fuck? That was desperate. That's greed. The Indians were making their own clothes. Indians are pretty advanced civilization.
What about now, though? If you look like...
Now India's right up there, mate. India and China, they're still producing for us.
Okay.
That's what we're not acknowledging. They're always producing for us.
Swift is so good at that. Like, can I just say, like, we've done a podcast the other day with Rory, and he was talking about how bad India was to visit. Worst place he's been.
Yeah, well, probably. So what?
No, but we're talking here about trade and business and advancing and civilizations. Why are they in such poverty? Would you say?
What? India?
Yeah.
Actually, India
Is
because
population?
But they've got 1.2 billion people. I'm not a specialist on poverty here, okay? But what I'm trying to tell you, right, just because some of them live inadequately in comparison to here, listen, this country that you lived in barns of your cattle 600 years ago.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah? So, and India was not doing that, okay? No, none of us were doing that. There's a reason. Suddenly people, because some of this is involved, you got plumbing system everywhere, lights everywhere and so on. They have space program. They're not really going backwards.
Yeah, but a lot of that money's come from Britain for the space. We give them millions for the space program.
Well, I just said you transferred your wealth from there. Now you got to give it back.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, well, yeah.
But Britain chose to give that space program to them. The Indians are very intelligent people. They gave us a lot of things in the world.
They make some wicked films.
Yeah, and the Chinese. By the way, the rice got to Africa from Indonesian fishermen. So Chinese already had rice before anyone else for at least 1,000 years.
Say that again, sorry. About
the rice came into Africa from Indonesian fishermen because
Indonesian
fishermen hopped on the islands on the Indian Ocean, got to Madagascar and start harvesting rice. And that rice, that harvest, that skill was transferred into indigenous Africans who started doing that too. And that's how rice got into the Western civilization eventually. You know? But with that came mosquitoes, obviously. And then African climate is different to Indonesian, different to Chinese. So there's a variety of challenges that come with that because obviously Africa was lacking in advanced medicine that deal with new disease that would come in with malaria.
So where have you learned all this stuff? Is this all self-taught stuff or this knowledge you have for yourself, would you say?
Books. Because, you know, when you watch an individual, like a professor, on YouTube, you can watch proper lectures.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, like proper lectures, like 30, 40 grand a
year
course.
And that's what you do, yeah?
Yeah, and I take notes. It gives me a couple of books to read and I read them books. You know, there's men out there who slept with more women in 1 year. Yeah, than me, and I'm happy with that. My whole life, I'm good with that. But I know I probably read more books than them. Continue.
I heard of a female from the Galapagos Island. I seen on the other podcast you done about a woman in the Galapagos Island.
Yeah, that's because I met her on Tinder.
Is she from here?
No, she was the island girl. So basically, I went to Galapagos Island.
This is like the most randomest but interesting podcast we've ever done. I just want to put that out there.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about the British Army first or that?
Well, that one was quick anyway.
Go.
So before I went to South America with my friends, about 2 weeks before that, I just got a Tinder account, dropped a pin in Galapagos, start talking to one, and she turned up. She was real.
Was she nice?
She was nice. She was pretty, yeah. All the boys didn't believe me. Obviously, they were like, you're lying. You're lying. I can't believe you. Show me a picture.
Why? Because you wouldn't normally meet women?
Just because banter amongst boys. That's it. It was just, they were just like, you know, I'm like, listen, bro, I got this. I planned this trip. It's military precision. Every stop, every hotel, every room. We were on it. Like, done 10 days over there, which is great. But yeah, it was good.
Good man.
But women do that. Men and women, there's nothing abnormal. You know? There's nothing abnormal.
So, what year did you join the army and why did you join the army?
I joined in 2010. And why did I join? There's a variety of things why I joined. So I got stabbed a couple of years before I joined, you know, so I needed something to move forward with because going to the university, I know I had challenges mentally, so I need to overcome kind of thing. Like I need to reestablish myself.
Confidence.
Like align myself, to realign my compass in life, you know, and I needed to get into the army, so I need to.
What happened then? Like, what happened with this with the guy, the stabbing? Like,
I don't know.
You don't have to talk about it. It's fine.
No, not necessarily. I was just doing stuff, pulled up some garages, done my window down, and he sliced my throat and tried to murder me. Like random. Like when I say I wasn't anticipating, and I was like in disadvantage in every single scenario, handbrake up. And I'm a heavy-handed, so handbrake is up, you know, and I'm like, oh, you know, it was just madness, yeah. And after that, I just joined the army, and
it affected you.
Huh?
It affected you then.
Say that again.
It affected you then for some
Well,
time.
of course it affect me in a short period of time. You know, I wasn't going to dwell on it. I was needing to recover. Once I've recovered, I was gone. I was through. And when I got to the army, I got in, turned up to the Fusiliers, mate. First day in front of this Geordie Sergeant Major Irwin. Like, keep your head down, keep your gob shut, do what you're fucking told, you're a fucking crowbag. That's it. Period. And I'm happy with this. This is not like authoritative, degrading manner of speaking to me. I wasn't the only one. There was like 5 of us, brand new recruits, turned up from training. Listen, mate, you can tell we fucking knew, mate. You can tell we knew. Our skin tone was different from like training, and there was like a sun in fucking all this shit, right? So these things matter, right? But the first thing there was an inter-battalion boxing competition. So I like boxing. So I'm like, I can box, sir. Can I get on the team? It's like, are you sure? I was like, yeah. So there's me, boy from Azerbaijan in the British infantry, turned up to a established unit in 2nd Battalion Royal Regiment Fusiliers with some men that actually been to war, yeah? And I start fighting them. Like, training first within my team, because I was representing A company. So that was a great introduction for me. That's me bedded into battalion. Because I can turn up, I can work hard. I've lost like 12, 14 kg to hit the weight. I fought in front of the whole battalion. They all fucking knew my name. Yeah, and that was me. Sweet, I'm on the go here. You know what I mean? My introduction and integration into Fusiliers was swift because Northerners are friendly anyway. You know, so it was swift. There was no bullying or there's no trying to impede on my progress and so on. And then when I failed, they'll show me where I failed and so on, and things like that helped me out quite a lot. So all of my principles as a soldier were learned in Fusiliers. Because then I had to transfer to a different unit because Fusiliers were disbanded. And then that was it was a terrible time. First 2 years, mate, it was like, I wasn't, just awful. I found it awful because I was brand new bloke from a different unit with a name that they couldn't pronounce. This was a Southern battalion. And I at this stage, I've got a big chest. I've got arrogance. I'm a Murphy. I was known to be a Murphy, but I'm a gobby cunt, right? Yeah, I don't care. But I keep my hands to myself, and I know how to respond and gob off to who at what stages, not like publicly. You get smashed, right? But back door, I was like, man, shut the fuck up, bruv, yeah? And that didn't help me in this new battalion because I'm like, mate, you blatantly don't like me and you expect me to do something by talking to me like a cunt. Shut the fuck up, yeah? So, like, integration was very slow in the 2nd battalion.
Would you say it was similar to the integration to the UK?
To some extent, but with that, the physical violence and physical abuse, you know, this wasn't a repeat of the school.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
But it's not going to be the same, is it?
No,
but,
of course not. But
same challenges.
But so it felt like it was same challenges because I'm still a foreigner. I am still a foreigner in the English army. I know who I am. I'm never gonna deny that.
But you didn't feel like you embraced that at all. You know,
I embraced my differences. I love being the only man from Azerbaijan. There were blokes from Fiji.
Yeah, I was
blokes
gonna
from
say
St.
you get a
Vincent,
lot from
blokes from St. Lucia. I wouldn't have known these people, yeah, if I never met them. I know people from Fiji. You know, how would I meet people from Fiji unless I go there? And I come from Azerbaijan and I went to England. I went further west from Fiji. Depends which way you want to fucking get there. You know what I mean? Right? Yeah?
Yeah.
And then there you go. I see these men. And then they're just different culturally, of course. There was a couple African boys. There was a couple blokes from Jamaica. And all these people that were born and raised in these countries. So to them, I was normal. I was different because they think that sometimes, are you sure you're not English? I'm like, shut the fuck up. But like, it was fun.
Because the ambiguous, like you said, there is
there
that
you go,
Western
it's
side.
fine. But it was banter.
But I see a lot of Turkish people who look like that as well.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But like, also my dialect didn't help me. Well, my dialect added another layer of ambiguity. Do you know what I mean? Like the way I talk, and I have knowledge. I'm arrogant. I speak different languages. You know what I mean? I would tell you things about Islam or the Persian culture or the Turk culture. It's in my blood. I can't erase something that I was raised with. Do you know what I mean? So, and my grandfather was born in 1910. He survived World War One as a child, World War Two, I'm the last child from the people that was born in 1910 onwards. So I'm the last child of that generation. You know, so I'm the only person that knows them. That my children will not know them, and not is my sister's children would know them. Do you know what I mean? So I need to like keep those roots alive. I need to keep it. This is my identity. I don't choose it. It was given to me by the rite of passage, by blood. What do you want me to do? I got lucky. My mum and dad fed me caviar when I was child. So what? It's not delicacy. It's normal where we're from. There's plenty of it. You know, like figs and whatever, fish or oils, whatever.
If there's one thing I do get a vibe with you is like you're very funny. You're very, you're very intelligent. But I do get and maybe it is because of the experiences you've had, but a bit of anger sometimes, like a bit of like, do you know what I mean? Do you feel that?
Well, maybe because I have an authoritative dictatorship in me. So there's a lot of other people, but being in the army, I've hit a certain level in the army when I was dictating 2 people, and then I failed at times. I've learned my lesson. I succeeded afterwards, and I knew what kind of leader I can be.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I have authoritative
lessons learned.
Character about me. But I'm not angry. I'm just angry. I'm just like disappointed how stupid people are.
So what would you like people to get from this podcast?
You need to stop being ignorant. Like there's a lot of ignorance in this society too. Now they're trying to manipulate it to reverse the ignorance. I'm not interested in that.
It's mad.
Listen. Like in my country, you can't run. Do you know Makhachkala Airport is in Dagestan? It's like 150 miles north from the capital city I was born in.
Okay.
They were running around the airport and looking for Jews. Apparently,
I saw that.
Yeah. You can't do that in my country. You get shot dead. So there's a difference right there. We don't give a fuck. Do you know what I mean? We don't have this little... Last time we had all our people on the street was in 94. Russians killed us. Like, only recently our people... Like, it was consistent murder of our people in the villages because a big land has got rural areas too. We're just not connected to them in that mindset. There's 40 or 50,000 people registered on the terror list in this country. We have 0. They're not from my country. There's 45. None of them are from my country. So they're not Turks. There are no Turks in this country. Probably 1, 2, maybe 100. Okay, 100. That's as far as it gets when it comes to terrorism. Do you know what I mean? From the Turkish people, the Azeris, even the Persians, they're not coming no terrorism around here. Do you know, they're not standing outside Stratford train station distributing the word of Islam. What the fuck do we need to do that? We literally come from the Ottoman Empire. We ruled the Islamic world for 700 fucking years. What do you think we are? Do you understand that? Like, you think like we try to rule it with as much dignity and respect as we could manage. You know what I mean? It's hard to roll multiple states simultaneously. And there was civil war, uprising, and the Ottomans practiced fratricide and regicide. They were killed next in line who's a threat to the throne. They kill their own brothers if they think they're a threat to the throne. Consistently, it's a common theme. All these things matter because they all end up coming here, right?
Yeah.
They're all connected.
How many did you do tours in the army then?
Well, not kinetic tours. So I didn't shoot anyone. Nobody shot me. So whatever tour I did, I went to Nigeria, trained Nigerian army how to able to have a tactical awareness of the battlefield and so on, Yeah. But I never killed anyone. Like, even if I did, I'm not going to be like Prince Harry, write down numbers and that. Like, fuck that.
Is that what he done?
He said he killed 27 people. Like, why did you even say that? You're solid, mate. Like,
Did he kill 27 people?
I don't know. But saying that,
Where did he go then? What tour did he do? Afghan or something?
Yeah, he did. But mate, listen, most people knew who he is. You're telling me there's always a special forces standby team just make sure Harry's all right. Cool. So you mental. You think these people? He was like maybe in training was smashed.
Yeah. It's like the fake. I don't know.
he done his little
pretending to be out on his own, but really you're spying on him in the background just to check he's
whatever
okay.
he did, it was active operation, right? Fair enough. But to say that he never had no significant support, I beg to differ, mate.
Did you see any good from your time in the army?
Yeah, a lot of men, all the men that I've met. It was honored to just compete with them for whatever price it was to compete for. It's not hard. It's very hard to like. It's a competitive field.
It is a competitive field, but I was thinking more amongst the good you put in the world. We hear about the negative with army, soldiers, war.
Well, like I
said,
said,
did you see any good though?
I've been to Nigeria. I've trained the soldiers to fight Boko Haram. I think that's good enough.
Yeah.
Who am I? I come from Azerbaijan, mate, and then they go landing in Abuja. What's going on?
Yeah.
That's a bit far, isn't it? What am I doing over there? Thanks to the Brits and the army, but nevertheless, it's the choices I've made.
Yeah.
I chose to join the army. Do you know what I mean? And then I chose to get up and go and do a 6-mile run. Do you know what I mean? Everything was like the thing that I'm like is now, like no one's in my pocket and I've got no one, I'm in no one's pocket. Do you know what I mean? I did this, like to get to this point, like I still had to overcome obstacles and challenges. But I don't think they were similar to other people.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be like trying to victimize myself because somebody punched me in my fucking face. So fucking what? It wasn't my dad or mum. Otherwise you'll be in trouble, mate. I'll be a fucking serial offender. Dead or in prison.
Yeah.
You know, there's a difference.
Well, I want to, because you're very opinionated, what I would like to do is get like maybe check a few topics at you and maybe just have like a,
Go on then.
Because we've hit an hour, but we'll do another 10, 15 and just get in some subjects and stuff.
Yeah, in an hour already. Jeez.
It flies, I know. That's what podcasts are like, mate. You should get your own one and just go on.
A lot of people told me this, actually.
I think you should, definitely.
My opinion, mate. Articulating raw. No, it's called articulating raw opinion.
Yeah. Okay, so I think the first thing we should talk about is within the geopolitics of what's going on right now, really. First of all, with the Ukraine and Russia situation.
With the Ukraine and Russia situation.
Where is that going to plan out to?
What, the Zelensky, the one that likes the Nazis and is Jewish himself. Interesting that, how he wants the money. You know? Why is everyone, why there was no protest in this country for Ukraine? There was no protest, was there? There was no protest on the street. Russians are apparently a terrorist, but trust me, they're not. I can assure you that when Russia invaded Persia, they didn't enforce any cultural differences on them. They just needed economic output and then eventually withdraw anyway. And the same with us. They didn't change anything. They enforced, be quiet, shut up, or send you to Gulag. We know that. There were still 250,000 people who died in World War II from Azerbaijan, who fought on the Soviet front. That's a lot of people from the population, like 3 million in 1945. That's not a lot. Because that was the northern parts, because the southern parts was blockaded by the Russian troops and the English, because Iran had economic policies with Germany, and then Germany was funding industrialization of Iran. And then because there was oil in Iran and the English wanted that oil, they had an excuse to invade Iran then with Russia. They wanted to do that the first time around. Anyway, but Russia in general, like, look, they don't teach their children about sex in schools, mate. Pedophiles get life, they don't get to reoffend. I'm just had to highlight certain things about the mindset of these people. You know what I mean? They're not terrorist people. They're not trams. The Germans perceived them so inferior that they killed as many as they could prisoners of war who were Russian. And they were advancing. They were only 5K from Moscow. They were killing Russian people. The Germans perceived them inferior, just like they perceived the Jews inferior. So what? So Russians are the same as Jews now, according to the Adolf Hitler. So I don't understand what the problem with Russia is. Because nobody invaded them when they sent a couple operatives to Salisbury. And they went back home on the telly and that. Yeah, Salisbury Temple was good, Vadim Vadimovich. That was funny. I found that hilarious, the audacity. No one invading them. No one invading China because of Wuhan and COVID leak, you know? because they have military capacity to defend themselves. You know, God forbid that's like in Iraq they found new COVID or they're bombing that again. Before you know it, not Saudi Arabia because we installed Saudi Arabia. So all these things matter.
Where do you think is? Do you think this is going to continue?
Russia's going to take this to the next level. When I said they're going to take the Ukraine, yeah, because Western allies who Ukraine trying to be with, okay, they on purposely push the NATO forces closer to the Russian border, and as part of the NATO pact, this blatantly says stop doing that. And this is Biden, and this is
I can't stand him.
This is a proxy war that generates desired economic and political outcome. You know what I mean? This is nothing to do with the Russian. It just happens to be. But on the reverse occasion, the Palestine and Israel conflict, they're funding Israel, okay, and they're not taking Palestinian refugees. But on this one, they're taking Ukrainian refugees, funding Ukraine, but not taking sanctioning Russians and Russian Jews. Sanction them all. Roman Abramovich, his poor Chelsea left. Look at the state of Chelsea now. They've got like 38 players who play the same game. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
Like, things like that matter. They don't discriminate. If Roman Abramovich was from Israel, yeah,
he's an oligarch, though.
Yeah, but he's
That's
got
how they're looking at
listen, but he has got Israeli citizenship. People don't understand that. He's got an Israeli citizenship. So they discriminate against him only because they feel it's okay to discriminate against Russia and sanction them. Because they decide that we need to sanction Russia. Yeah, sanction Japan, sanction China, sanction India, sanction everyone that's not aligned with our ideology and our views, and generate the desired political economic outcome, but manipulating the mass through the media output. They're telling you just nonsense, and you're going to believe. Nobody even knows where Ukraine is, anything about Ukraine. Do you know how Russians came to be? Do you know? So the Ukrainian nobles invited the Rus mercenaries who are part of a Germanic tribe called the Rus to help them out with their peasants in a domain. Yeah, all the peasants become disobedient. So the Rus turned up, smashed them all, killed half of them, sold them to slavery and so on, turned around to those nobles in Ukraine and said, nah, we're not taking no more orders from you. We rule you. And that's how Russia came to be.
What? How far back is that?
It's about 1,000 years ago, give or take.
Yeah.
100 years. I don't know exactly date. Still, that's how it came to be. Majority of Northern Europe, a majority of Europe is because of Germanic tribes, who, by the way, are the Ions that Hitler was so obsessed with, that come from Persia. That's where the Iron people are from.
The Aryan race, yeah.
They're the ones that domesticated the horse. One of the greatest weapons in the world. War weapons.
Yeah, because he was travelling everywhere during the World War II, weren't he? He was going to Tibet and places like that to find where the original Aryan race come from.
Yeah, they come from Persia. Even Darius II said is the ruler of all the seas and mountains and all the land and all the Iron people. Yeah, but his ideology was deceiving because there was this guy called Joseph Goebbels, right? He invented the concept of racialism and his theory of racialism. And he blatantly said that we, the German race, are superior and those that inferior to us are fundamentally the Jews. And then Hitler thought, oh, that sounds good, mate. Sounds good. Do you know the Japanese come to Germany in 1933 to Nazi delegation, right? And then one of the Nazi officials walked up to him and said, oh, so how do you think? What do you think? Do you like our Nazi ideology? And the Japanese delegation replied to him, yes, we love it. The only problem is we don't have any Jews in Japan. That's exactly what they said. So they used the Chinese instead. And they start exterminating Chinese people, which is, I guess that's what they thought, the Chinese people, that they were inferior to Japanese. Like, just basically, this inferior. I don't understand why would someone think someone is inferior to you.
Yes,
but it's a weapon of war. Like, they came about, like, according to Roy Cassandra, right? It came about because Napoleon, 250 or 230 years ago, the one that invented the concept of nationalism. someone's superior and everyone else was inferior to you. Because of the French Revolution, he said, you French, the reason you had the revolution, because you French are so special and so superior to everyone else. And then at some point, Napoleon ended up owning everything from Madrid to Moscow. So it's because people just were ignited by the hatred of being superior to those that are inferior to them. But don't worry, Romans hated the Jews too. They exterminated every single one of us that could. So did the Crusaders. They exterminated all the Jews. And then eventually got to the Holocaust and then more extermination because apparently, I don't even fucking know. What is it with the Jews that you need to exterminate them? Yeah. I'm confused. What is it?
So is each tribe, each culture who have done that, is their reasoning different each time?
I think it's all about human having control over other humans and getting them to do what you want to do to achieve your own ideology, power, money, respect. Even look, I'm going to tell you something, right? Second Caliph of Islam, Umar ibn al-Khattab, all right? He was a humbled guy, right? He didn't need a lot of things, all right? And he had the Arab Empire and all the Arab wealth behind him, right? He didn't need much, okay? But he was jealous of Khalid ibn Walid, the general of the Arab army, because it was getting a lot of praise from everybody, what he achieved on his battlefield. So he demoted him out of jealousy. But that was his first cousin. Like, this was like it's like my brother, really. My first cousin, your brother, innit? Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? If it's your sister, some of these people decided to have sex with them, and that's incest to me, but that's not my cup of tea. There was incest, well, I call incest cousin marriages, there's the same thing. Nevertheless, but this is the virtue of life. This is the virtue of life. Yeah. People want to rule over other subjects. Yeah. And some people choose to be ruled by other subjects. And then they get manipulated to generate the desired outcome. Yeah. Most of it is military and economic and social outcome. If those people that don't agree with you, they're always going to rebel against you.
Give me one conspiracy that you believe to be true.
One conspiracy that I believe to be true, that United States government killed Kennedy. But to say that I'm going to think that United States government actually were aware there was an imminent attack on 9/11, they knew it and they did nothing. I can't believe that.
You don't believe that?
That was too much for me to fathom.
Really?
You can't be that disgusting towards your own people. That were you allowed to do that in order to invade Iraq on false premises to nick all their gold?
Okay.
Surely.
Okay, but you've just said it.
No, but surely. I can't believe it. Yeah. Like, I can't, no, you can't do this to your own people. And America are young, mate. Let's make it clear. But
babies.
Boys, you Welsh are got older than them. My bloodline is older than the entire Constitution of the United States of America.
We're Celtic. Yeah.
You know? And they knew on the scene that were behaving like babies. They bullied everyone. CIA actively participated in destabilizing a lot of countries on this planet. Social instability, economic despair. So they're not. They can't tell me anything.
What's going on in the States next? Who's next president?
I don't know.
Who do you think?
I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
What would you like to see? What would you like to see?
Well, Trump, of course. I think is a businessman. And he's German. His dad is German. He's German. I know he says America. I know that. But Scottish, I'm different like that. Yeah, I'm a bit different like that.
You're going to look deeper into it, yeah, of course.
Right.
Yeah, I do that. Like, if I look at Americans, you know, I look at they Dutch, they German, and they French, and they British. I'm not going to
take away his Americanism of it. I'm not going to take away his patriotism.
I know what you're saying.
Because you need to understand, like, patriotism. Patriotism is when you like your country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nationalism, when you think that I am better than you because of my race. That's nationalism.
Yeah.
And those people can't hide. They will make it, they'll let you know about it with their language.
Yeah, but when we asked Tommy Robinson what do you think nationalism is, he actually painted it down to what patriotism is really, didn't he?
Yeah, but they're two different things. Like I just said to you, nationalism.
What do you think Tommy is then?
Nationalism and fascism, wait. Nationalism, fascism, and Nazism are also different. Well, Nazism and nationalism are aligned because they're both designed to think that you're superior to your subjects or other races. fascism came around from Rome. That wasn't the part of the deal. The Italians didn't implement the anti-Semitic laws until 1937.
What is a fascist then?
Fascists came about from Rome. Fascists were bundles of roads melted together with axe amongst them, was presented to the Roman magistrate as a representation of the citizen and the strength of Rome.
Okay.
Strength from unity. That was their motto. And then obviously Mussolini acquired that concept created this fascist party in 1919, 1921, one I forgot.
With the axe. And
right. So he got that going, way before Hitler was even on his way to do you know what I mean? So fascism and Nazism are two different ideologies. There's a reason why Italians are withdrawing from the evil axis. They're like, no, fuck this, it's a bit too much. You know what I mean? Seriously, like, they were not going that far.
No.
Because they had different ideologies, because Mussolini wanted to be the ruler, all right? Everything for the state, nothing against the state, nothing outside the state. They're all subjects and they had the same ideology. You know what I mean? And in Germany, they had the same ideology. That the German was so sadistic to Jews that they didn't want to have sex with them. Like, like the Russians, when they got to Berlin, they just violated 2 million women. Yeah. Like, no fucks given.
The Germans wouldn't touch them.
Germans weren't doing nothing. That's how they felt in their head. Yeah. That they're less than them. Yeah.
Sad, man.
Yeah. And then I don't know what I would be doing if I was alive 100 years ago. I'd be preparing for it.
Yeah.
Like, would I be preparing for a Great Depression and that? I don't know. New concept of oil just came into play. We just stopped whaling, killing all the whales and cutting off all the trees to get kerosene.
Wild, isn't it?
Homo sapiens are mental, mate. We are disgusting. Like certain things that morally acceptable to some people that is not morally acceptable to us, and we find that utterly disgusting. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing I can do. I find it disgusting. Am I lucky, or they're the lucky ones that they don't?
Well,
they used to eat people in gulags, tie people to the trees and cut off their calves and fry them in front of them. Like, that's how desperation of life was. That's the Russian people. That's what the Russian state did to its people. So things like that.
Tommy Robinson.
Robinson.
What do you think of him?
Is it the best thing that came out of Luton since the invention of Luton? I genuinely think that he's a patriot. But he needs to swap this concept of Islam. Just stop saying Muslims. You ain't talking about me, man. You ain't talking about the Turks. He doesn't say these words. He's not talking about the Arabs. He's not talking about the Persians. Do you know what I mean? It's always highlighting the same demographic from his part of town. Just start saying them. Stop saying Islam. Remove Islam out of the equation. You're good to go, mate. You're good to go. You love your country, act like it's so good. Good for you. I love my country. There's only one flag where I'm from. Do you know what I mean? We don't have foreigners violating the dignity of our children. Absolutely. You die. You can't come to my country and rape our women. Are you mental? You must be crazy. We'll feed you to dogs. How about that? Get your mum to come over and pick up your pieces from the dog shit. What are you going to do then? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's abnormal. It's just not how the Turks operate. We didn't went around to Europe and raped all the women and forcing Islam on the way. No, we don't do this stuff. The Arabs didn't force Islam onto us, the Persians. Yeah, because I'm a Turk and partially Persian. Yeah, that they didn't enforce it by the sword. There was no mandatory to convert. You can live. They're right. Zoroastrians were right. The Hindus, when they got to the Hindu land, the India, they went, yeah, you're all right too. You can be part of this religion. No, because this man, right, they're called Al-Farabi. Okay, so he posed the question. So if God is Rahman Rahim, merciful and beneficent, and God is also Al-Haq, the 50th name of God, absolute truth, yeah, then why would God lie to Hindus about Hinduism? Surely all religions deserve respect.
And to know the truth.
Yeah, because all religions lead to a path of God. In order to know path to God, you need to know all religions. That's why he said this 1,000 years ago. He couldn't publish that. He just yeah, but too much for us here, mate.
Yeah.
But he's an intelligent man, because I tell you that the man that I've mentioned earlier called Ibn Sina, the founder of the modern medicine, right? He said he read Aristotle 40 times. What he means by that, he memorized Aristotle, but it couldn't fathom me what it means.
Yeah.
It knows what it means, but it doesn't know it. I need to unlock this,
Yeah.
but I don't know. The problem was that Aristotle, by that time, before he got to him, was written 1,000 years ago.
So
It was written in Greek idioms, which what even the Greeks couldn't translate. Right, and then one day Ibn Sina walks down bazaar, because we have these things, bazaars, and then walks past the bookshop, and then he sees there Aristotle idiom translation by Al-Farabi. And then he discovers the concept of necessary being, i.e. the singularities, i.e. going back in time into the point of a single point of information.
Wow.
So on, 1,600 years ago, before Newton first law of motion and so on, man, I'm telling you, a lot of stuff, like if not everything, comes at the back of us.
Yeah.
Like 1,000 years ago, Islam was the golden age. Europe was living in sewers while we had running water in our homes that it will go out.
But would you, like he said earlier, how far do you want to go back? Surely there was times prior to that and
No,
after
but
that. where
listen,
there's
that's
been
like I
other-
said, the only way we evolve and progress by exchanging ideas, trade, and knowledge. Right?
Yeah, I
So
agree.
before 391, before the Christian Romans burned down Great Library of Alexandria, which was where the word museum came from, in Egypt, it's the first research institution, okay? That was the total sum of human knowledge, right? And they burned it down. But we got lucky because there's a leader called, Persian leader, emperor, called Shapur. He was jealous of this library, so he wanted to create his own library, like in competition
So
with that.
luckily he kept, luckily he
So
did.
he had no problem acquiring Chinese and Indian texts, but he had problem acquiring Roman texts because they were at war with Romans, okay? Eventually, he merged all that text, translated that text. That needs translation. Then you need people to understand the text and then evolve the text. And that's how Aristotle came to us because of these translations. Just things like that. It's all same line of exchanging of knowledge, trading ideas. It's never culture and religion. But enforcing that on one another is only generates divisions anyway. Uprisings. You can't oppress people like the Romans tried to do to the Egyptians for nearly, till Arabs conquered them for nearly 800 years. From 31 BC, right, to 633, right, yeah, to 34, when Egypt got taken by the Arabs, the Romans were in charge of the Egyptians. And the Egyptians kept rising against them, kept rebelling, and they kept crucifying them. Look. 1,000 people just on crosses crucified. Keep doing that. We'll do that to you. And of course, they kept rebelling because these people were discriminating, oppressing them because the Romans thought the Egyptians were inferior, but they're not. But that's the concept of full process.
I got one more person on the list.
Go on.
Andrew Tate.
Oh my God.
Give it to me.
I think Andrew Tate, right, is fundamentally inferior to me as a man in every single element of his existence. Period. Like, he listen, these are not men. If you're telling about us how to manipulate a woman so she sucks your cock, so then you can sell her vagina on the OnlyFans for $3.99, yeah, well done, mate. You're not part of my team. We'll just eliminate you. Like, that's a sexual predator. Fact. That's how I perceive them. And people like him, he's not a man. He's not the man that he claims to be. He's not a man. I know men in the army, like men, like proper men. Like you'd think, fucking hell. Like some people I know are in SAS now. Like I don't need to know their names. Like drop their names. I mean, I don't need to tell you the names. I don't need to tell you that I'm best friends with them. I'm not. But I had a chance like 6-7 months being within the facility training with them. You know, being at work with them. Do you know what I mean? Like, even that itself is a valuable experience. Do you know what I mean? What has he done that nobody else has done? Tell me one thing that he's done, not a single human on this planet has done. He cannot impress me. He's unimpressive, uninspiring. Do you understand that? If your son talks about him, slap your son. Your son cannot tell you that man is better than you and you're the father of that child. That is disrespectful. Absolutely not. You're the man of the house. you're in charge of your family, and Andrew Tate is inferior to you in comparison to your children. You're the man. Do you know, that's one element of it. You can't, what he's promoting, I can't believe he's even getting, that's my opinion. I've got women in my family, you know what I mean? But we're the kind of men that we could do things, you know? If somebody that DMs my 15-year-old niece, yeah, her father, like, I'm not cheap. I'm not universal credit, mate. We've got family across Europe. We just mobilize our troops, mate. Come to your fucking mum's house. Bob's your fucking picture. It's cheap. That's the extreme element of it. Because some children are children, right? Yeah. I can't prevent my daughter not talking to other people. You know, I can't do that 24 hours a day. I can't protect her every minute of her existence. I have to arm her with logic. Yeah, I have to tell her there's a horrible men out there. They will kidnap you, rape you, and kill you. Don't talk to them. Yeah, I can't be there all the time. It matters. They need to know this. And then maybe, God forbid, shit happens like that. I'm coming for you. What, y'all have to go to prison? I can't. It's unforgivable. You can't come near my children and women. It's a line you can't cross. It's death. And I think every man should be like that. You can't just let people come to your country and violate your children. He's in Romania saying how corrupt it is. Yeah, it's just shithole sitting there with a gun on his table. Like on the internet saying the country's so corrupt, do what I fucking want. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, who does that? He doesn't come to our country and claims to be a Muslim. He's not. He's an infidel pig, mate. People like him are not Muslims. They're not. They don't even know what that is. I just told you what Islam is. Not once did I highlight to you anything to do with violating women. Yeah. No, I didn't even mention women. If you want to talk about women's rights, I'll be here all day. I'll humiliate people. You know what I mean? People don't even know what the woman's value is, let alone understand that she is valuable. And it's not my fault how it perceives women. I didn't educate them, and he didn't get his education from my people. They don't acknowledge him. That is not part of the circle, you know? Because it says Muslim people think they're safe. You're not fucking safe if you're raping children. Do you understand me? You don't understand this. You are not safe. Islam doesn't save you. You still bleed. You know?
That's one thing I would say. You're bang on there, mate. You haven't, mate. If anything, you've been the total opposite. You even said earlier, you know, men have probably slept with more women in a year, but I've read more books. That ain't in your nature, like, do you know what I mean? And I think that's really important, the way that you've put this across. All you've done is talk about the positive sides of
existence, life.
Yeah. Because
we the people have the power to make this life free and beautiful. We the people have the power to unite against, in this country specifically, theocratic monarchy and inheritance and the hereditary positions has been part and part of the social fabric and social structure since 1066. You know, it's a long time where average bloke like you who had any concept of any status in society. 300-400 years ago, people in this country used to get killed just because they're not supposed to read. They're not supposed to be able to read. That means you're a witch, burner, killer, anger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? While in 8th century, 9th century, Spain, Arab, yeah, the Arabs opened up public school for peasant Christian children because Christianity was the Christians and the Jews part of the book, so they're exempt from, you know.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things that, and obviously the violence wasn't that as abhorrent as you could imagine. Because back in the day, not a lot of people just invade homes, but people still did invade countries and all the cities and raped all the women, killed all the children and sold everyone into slavery and burned down the building.
Yeah.
Like, that's not uncommon. I'm not claiming that I don't come from that end, but the Mongols did a lot more worse than you can ever imagine. The Mongols killed as many people as the Spanish did in South America. Yeah? It's extraordinary. Like, erased humans.
Okay, so this has been really a
Thank you, I
very
appreciate
interesting
this.
talk. It's been good,
yeah.
man.
No, I appreciate this.
One thing I would like, what we do with all our guests, what I would like you to do, maybe, down that camera, positive message to the people. The one thing that what you wanted to get across in this podcast, maybe in your own words, down that camera, please.
Just keep on.
Put the mic closer. Yeah.
Okay. Just keep moving forward, because there are people who get off by impeding on your progress, whether you like it or not. There will be people who impede on your progress. Just keep moving forward when you get tripped up. That's all. And you get there.
Thank you very much for coming,
You're
mate.
welcome.
Nice
Cheers.
meeting you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Look, guys, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Leave your comments in the comment box. Go and check out Aiden's other podcaster. Get a bit more of a backstory about him as well, because obviously we just jumped on a load of topics today, which was really good. I'm glad we did. And until next time, stay central.
The Central Club.